I tell you what, one of the other drivers that really impressed in the first session, he's in that blue and white 67 car. That is the Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing entry, and we're talking about Joseph Newgarden, the 2011 Firestone Indy Lights champion. There's a good look at that car right now on the big screens for those of you in the stands here at St. Pete. And Jake, I tell you, when I looked down at the end of that first session and saw that Joseph Newgarden was just literally a thousandth of a second out of the top 10, was 11th quickest overall of the 26 drivers that were out. I mean, let's be absolutely blatantly honest here. To think that a Sarah Fisher Racing car is that good on this race course is a surprise at least. Not on an oval. You expect this car to be up front every time on an oval, but to see the improvement that this team has made, and now for this young driver to go out there and be pushing his way, possibly be in the top 10 here very early on, I think that says very good things about this team.
Well, this is in the form of Joseph Newgarden, and for those of you folks who haven't been around or followed closely in the last year, when he was in the Firestone Indy Lights, Mike, and of course Joseph Newgarden, the series champion in Firestone Indy Lights. The thing about him I think that was most impressive, despite, or on top of, I should say, his dynamic personality. He's very engaging. He's a bright young man. But you got the impression he wanted to learn everything and wanted to soak in everything and took in from whoever he was around, would ask questions, would try to learn, was not hesitant to ask guys who had experience what they could teach him. And Joseph Newgarden, as we look now, is the third fastest of the 9 cars that have gone out in this practice session. But on top of that, he also has, with Sarah Fisher, obviously somebody that he can talk to, lean on a little bit, but that Honda power plant. He's got the Honda underneath him. That was a deal that came about late. We didn't know if Sarah Fisher was going to end up getting engines. They end up getting it. As a matter of fact, it was just about 3 weeks ago, I think, when the engines were first sent. But Joseph Newgarden is a kid with a lot of promise, Mike, and I think there are a lot of people who were introduced to him essentially a year ago that are excited for him and excited for the series of what he can do.
Taking a look on the big screens, that is Justin Wilson making the move underneath the number 6 car of Catherine Legg. Justin Wilson, as Jake, he makes the move back to Dale Coyne Racing after spending a couple of years with Dreyer Reinbold Racing. Of course, this was a combination that won 3 seasons ago, giving Dale Coyne Racing his first ever win after 25 years as a team owner. Dale Coyne finally got to celebrate a victory, and it was Justin Wilson at Watkins Glen who gave him that win. I think there could be some good things in the offing here, and really teaming a veteran like Justin Wilson with a young up-and-comer like James Jakes seems like it could be almost a perfect situation.
Dale Coyne, I think, is still passing out cigars from that win at Watkins Glen. He passed them out for a while.
It was a happy day, I know that.
One of the things that Justin Wilson has been really, really strong, probably one of his strongest suits, is he is so good on not having to go to those alternate Firestone Firehawk red tires
till the second
qualifying.
round.
Yeah, where he always manages strategically, Mike, to stave off having to go to them as late as possible. And then in the late rounds when they get to the Firestone Fast 6, he usually has a fresh set when others don't. That's one of the things that Justin Wilson's been able to do, regardless of team, to really set himself up nicely. I think from an engineering standpoint, he's going to be more comfortable now back at a team where he did get the win. You won't find a nicer guy in this series than Justin Wilson.
Will Power is back on top, and now Power flirts with the ones at a minute 2.0077. Jake, let's remind everyone that it was a couple of years ago here in 2010 that the Peak Performance Pole Award went to Will Power, that quick lap at a minute 1.6025. And that's the number we're looking at to see how quick these cars are going to be. Can they top the 2010 qualifying lap time of Will Power? If we look at what Will Power is doing right now, and let's say, for example, we figure in, Jake, that half second that we feel like is probably going to be picked up when you're on the reds, then Will Power is going to be quicker than he was a couple of years ago. It looks like the DW12 in its first outing could possibly be a record setter here at St. Pete. We're watching on the big screens here, Jake, another one of those great camera views from behind the right rear. I believe we're on board with, that's what, Briscoe's car? Is that Briscoe? I think it might be. And
I was thinking that was Will Power. Is that Briscoe?
that could be Will Power because, well, we're not really sure. It's got both the V-Power, the Verizon, and the IZOD logos appropriately enough on it. But as they make their way through turn number 1, we'll keep an eye out. That's a very cool shot as we're able to see that right rear tire just moving up and down. You can't see the suspension parts, but you can see the movement of that tire.
I mean, that shows you the flexibility that back suspension has to have. And I don't think that you necessarily, to the naked eye as it goes past you, you don't see how
you
much
just don't realize
bounce goes into that. Yeah, that's and it is Will Power.
No, it was Briscoe.
It was?
That's Power coming off of 14. So that was Briscoe working his way through the middle part of the race course. So those are just some really cool shots. And you will certainly notice the difference on the television coverage this year on ABC and the NBC Sports Network as we keep our eye out and see if, in fact, we're gonna see any movement at the top of the charts. And in fact, we just saw Ryan Briscoe leapfrog over Dario Franchitti as he goes to P2. So right now, Team Penske and Chevy Power owns the top 2 spots on the speed chart.
And Scott Dixon, who was the fastest in the first practice session, finds himself right now 5th. Graham Rahal, the 4th fastest. And as Mike said, Dario Franchitti 3rd, Ryan Briscoe 2nd, Will Power your fastest right now. Rounding out the top 10, by the way, Elio Castroneves 6th, James Hinchcliffe. Good day for him thus far in that GoDaddy number 27 machine. Tony Kanaan finds himself 8th fastest, then Ryan Hunter-Reay and Mike Conway, who has kind of quietly found himself right there in that top 10 group as well. Mike Conway is the 10th fastest. James Hinchcliffe, a guy, Mike, as we look at it right now, 7th fastest, 102.463 the time in his Chevrolet number 27 GoDaddy machine. He has been a guy that when this came about, and obviously we know the unfortunate circumstances of which that ride came available, but GoDaddy wanted a personality and somebody who could compete. James Hinchcliffe fits both perfectly.
Well, Ed Carpenter exiting turn number 9 came very close. He may have made slight contact with the outside wall as he exited turn number 9 in the Fuzzies car, so we'll keep our eye out there. And we take a look, some of the other names of note that are outside of the top 10. Marco Andretti, Simon Pagenaud, who was quick early on as the checkered flag now waves. J.R. Hildebrand is currently 13th. Joseph Newgarden, who was 11th in the first session, 14th. Justin Wilson, I got to admit, I really thought that we would see Justin Wilson with the Honda Power and the Dale Coyne team. I thought we would see Justin Wilson in the top 10 in this session. Didn't happen. Sebastian Bourdais, yeah, he's a little bit behind the 8 ball with the Lotus Power. Let's face it. We got to be honest here that perhaps Sebastian Bourdais' true talents aren't going to really be realized until there's some more development on that Lotus engine. You get some of the other drivers. I for certain, walking in here today, I thought that we would see Rubens Barrichello in the top 10 without a doubt in the first couple of sessions. Had a gearbox issue in the first session, and he winds up here in the second session, Jake, 23rd overall. So some surprises here today for sure.